Breaking news, we have just learned Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, has decided to uphold his suspension of Tom Brady. That's the 4-game suspension. It was also revealed, however, that the famous quarterback had his cell phone destroyed prior to a meeting with an investigator in this Deflategate scandal. Joining me now, Mike Bako. He's DailyNational.com sports editor. Seth Berensweig. He's a sports and business law attorney. Seth, I'll go to you first. A lot of people shocked, the scuttlebutt, maybe a compromise, 2 games, even 1 game. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm not surprised that there was not a resolution, an amicable settlement between the league and the union. The thing that really surprised me were these revelations and this affirmation that the commissioner issued today that was really slamming Tom Brady for the destruction of electronic evidence, destruction of his cell phone. There were 2 big developments that happened today. First was this affirmation of the decision by the commissioner that slammed Tom Brady based upon the destruction of the evidence and all of the other elements, and that was something that happened just a few hours ago. And then late this afternoon, the NFL sprinted to the federal courthouse in Manhattan and just filed a lawsuit against the NFL Players Association to affirm and to enforce that. This is just a development that happened in federal court in Manhattan, so it's going to be an action to enforce and turn the heat up on Tom Brady in this controversial case.
So having said that, then Tom Brady, even through the appeals process, looks like he's going to have to actually sit out those 4 games, right?
It'll be very hard for him to overcome it. The only way that he can fight back is to win some kind of an injunction. The legal standard for that is very, very difficult. He has to show a likelihood of success on the merits, and given how he got slammed on the decision today, I think that he has a very slim chance on that.
You know, Mike, it sort of reminds me a little bit of golly, how come I have a mental block? Martha Stewart. Mm-hmm. In other words, it almost feels like he wasn't punished necessarily for the crime, but the cover-up.
But for the cover-up,
yeah,
right.
You know, because we talked about it. You thought it would be 1 game. Almost everyone thought it would be pulled back a little bit, but this was sort of a comeuppance of sorts.
It was, and it was Roger Goodell really laying down the hammer, invoking his ultimate authority. I was on this very set saying that it would go down to 1 game because I thought Roger Goodell would have seen the evidence, would have seen the landscape, and thought, hey, I can't be the judge and the executioner in this regard. So I thought it was going to go down to 1 game. There is, Seth mentioned that he would have very, very little likelihood of winning in an appeals, but he could go one extra degree and ask for another arbitrator to hear this. It's a very unlikely scenario. Roger Goodell and the NFL probably would not want to set this precedent, but if the NFL and the Players Association came to some sort of agreement where a third party would hear this, unlikely.
To your point, though, it is really very unlikely. And here's the thing, sort of hidden in this news, but I bet you it becomes a big deal as the days go on. Greg Harding was in trouble, had a 10-game suspension, really ugly domestic violence situation. His 10 games reduced to 4 games. So why would a domestic violence situation, in light of what the NFL went through last year, merit the same punishment as a slightly deflated football?
That's what Tom Brady's people are saying. That's what observers all around the league are saying. It's arbitrary, the punishment for the most severe of instances like the Greg Hardy, like the Ray Rice, but those were arbitrary. Just like this punishment against Tom Brady was arbitrary. Just like it was last year and the year before with the New Orleans Saints situation. So this is the precedent that Roger Goodell has set.
But I got to tell you, Seth, Roger Goodell's made the NFL a whole lot of money. He's made a whole lot of money for himself as well. And some people might argue he's the perfect commissioner. He takes all the slings, he takes all the arrows, and we won't talk about any of the owners tomorrow morning, but a lot of people will debate whether this was fair or not. Regardless of what you feel about Brady and how to what degree he cheated, the idea that this merits the same punishment as Harding is hard to accept.
He's been sharp and he's been aggressive on this. I agree that there could be an argument for disproportionate justice here, but he did 2 things today. He issued a decision that was very long and lengthy that would be easy on the eyes for a federal judge, and then he had his people sprint across the street in Manhattan to file a federal lawsuit to enforce it so that he could maybe cut off the NFL Players Association's attempt to go to a better judge. So I agree with you. It's a controversial case and it's a close call, but at the end of the day, I think that the NFL really has the heat on Brady, and he'll have a very hard time getting an injunction injunction on this.
Real quick, Mike, where do we go from here? I mean, you take the best player in the league, you make an example out of them. Maybe now the NFL turns a corner a little bit and starts focusing on positive PR in the rest of the league and the games?
Probably not. This is going to be the main story that everyone in training camp, which is starting on Wednesday and Thursday for most teams, this is all anyone's going to be talking about. If this drags on, it's all anyone's going to be talking about. Can
you get penalized for overinflating? Because I got a feeling, guys, a lot of people are going to overinflate the footballs just to be on the safe side. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. Hey, coming up, stocks turning it around after 5 real miserable days, and you've got a ton of questions. They're coming fast and furiously. Keep them coming. Ask Payne is next. Tweet me. I'm at CV Payne.